guys, how's it going? Today I wanted to give a bit of a walkthrough in terms of what I do to get my photos from the SonyA6300 onto Instagram. Now I have two methods for the way I do this, depending on what I'm doing. If I'm out and about and on the go and I really got to get something published and get it done quick, then what I would do is I'd do the whole workflow from connecting wirelessly to my phone and getting the JPEG and editing it on there. That is a video for another day, and I will get around to doing that. The one that I want to show you right now is how I use Lightroom, and I've got my feed all laid out because I've recently started taking Instagram seriously. And I know that sounds stupid, but I really want to take it seriously. I want to get better at my photography. I want to engage with other like-minded people on Instagram. So if you're on Instagram and you're interested in this, find me on there, follow each other, that'd be great. Drop us a comment, let me know what you think. So, in order to take it seriously, I am using Lightroom to edit all of my photos. I tend to shoot in RAW because media is cheap. It doesn't take up that much space, I can use it, and I've got the flexibility to do things later. So I don't consider it to be better, it's a tool for a certain purpose, but for me I like having it in RAW. So I shoot them RAW in camera, I then bring them all into Lightroom, and yeah, I'll show you how that goes. Let's get in. Right, so here we are. These are the images that are currently in the queue for going out onto my Instagram feed. So what I do is, what's the best way of showing this? I'll show you everything from getting it into the camera, because I've inherited Lightroom. So I'm on Adobe Lightroom 3 because I bought it absolutely bloody years ago. And I don't want to get caught up in the whole Adobe Update Creative Cloud thing. I just wanted a piece of software that I had with me that I can use and I can learn and know how to use. It's a great piece of software, Lightroom 3. So I'm completely oblivious and unaware to any of the updates that Adobe have brought out, and I'm happy in my blissful ignorance. So one of the faults though is that the RAW format for any of the new cameras, the SonyA6300 included, the RAW format is not supported natively in Lightroom 3. So I have to go through an entire a very Heath Robinson system of getting my images in. But what you have to do is you have to get this other piece of software called Adobe Digital Negative Converter. Now this you can get for free, it is free. They provide it for people like me that have older versions of the software and they need to convert things. So what it will do is you will bring in the images from, I'll bring in the images from my card, and it will rename them and it will turn them all into DNG files. So I can label them all with the date and in order, get them converted. So what I do is I bring them all into here, I run them through the DNG converter, and it turns everything into a DNG, which I've got in any of these folders here. Apart from that one, that's full of JPEGs again. So, there, right. So it gives me a DNG file that I can both preview, and then I can import into Lightroom. So, Lightroom, here we are. So, if you don't know how to import things into Lightroom, I'll do a video on that at some point if you want to comment and let me know that you want me to go through that. But at this point I'm going to assume you know how to bring things into Lightroom, into a folder and everything. So let's go with the folder that I am prepared to show. Let's go with this one, I like this one. So bringing all of the images, DNG images, into here. My process is then, I go through each and every one of them and I pick the ones that I like by pressing the P key on the keyboard. Now what the P key does is it flags it as picked, so you get a little flag at the top. Then, once I've got all of my flagged picked ones, I filter them out by attribute of flagged. So this gives me all the ones that I've said, oh, I like the look of those. Then I will then go through each of those and select maybe 10 7 to 10. I'm looking for about one, because I go out every single week and shoot for Instagram specifically. I want to get at least one a day, so I get about 7 to 10 of them from my next selection. Okay? And the ones, so what I've got down here, I've got a smart collection set up. So what you can do is you can go create smart collection. I call it Instagram feed out too. Set smart collections. Match all of the following. Rating. So what I want it to do, I've said that whenever I colour any of them green, I'll do a different one because I've already got one set up for green. Whenever I label any of them green, it adds them to the smart collection of Instagram feed down here. So you see on this image, this one's green, this one's green, this one's green. And whenever they're green, it goes onto my Instagram feed smart collection. So here are the selection of images from all of the photos that I've been taking so far this month that I've picked out for going onto Instagram. Now, that gets me the images that I want to take further. Now, we're going to get into what I do in terms of editing them. So, let's... it's a good one. They're all good ones, he said modestly. This one, I think this one went out today, actually. This one went out today, so... if you follow me on Instagram, you've probably seen this already. If you don't follow me on Instagram, I would highly recommend it, because it is my Instagram feed and I am completely biased and driven to get more people following. But I would recommend it because it'd be great to follow along and see what happens with the feed, because I'm just starting out and I've just started this new process. So please check me out on Instagram. If you like my kind of images and my kind of photography and the kind of stuff, by all means, drop me a follow and let's take it from there. So what I'm going to do here, let's take this into develop. Just save that snapshot because I don't want to lose my edit, and I'll just reset everything. So this is the original image. Okay, and it is a JPEG. This one's a JPEG, so I can't push this one as far as I would push a raw image, but it's still got plenty of information in there, and it's still got quite a lot of range. Only just clipping some of the blacks, and there's some highlight clipping, but it was shot straight into the sun. Yeah, shot straight into the sun at 1/500th of a second at f20 and ISO 200. So it's blown some highlights, but I don't mind that. So the first thing that I do, I get my crop. I always go square. I love square format. Instagram is so great because I just love the square format, and I love symmetry. I love Wes Anderson films. They're just really, really great. So crop it. Now I don't necessarily center crop, but when I shoot, I tend to imagine the square in the middle in my frame, so I don't tend to frame things off to the side that much because I'm pretty sure that I'm going to crop it square anyway. And I think one of the reasons that I put this where it was is this main floorboard here. I wanted that centered between these lines. I wanted that dead center to draw you straight into the middle. So that is why I positioned that there. I also want to straighten my horizon by clicking this little spirit level here. Let's go along the floor here. Just draw a line straight across. There we go. Spot on. Oh, now move it. Right, so the floorboard's in the middle. Sorted. That is that done. Right, now I've got my crop done, I'll go into my edit. Now I've got some presets set up, and I've just started building my own sets of presets. Because I want a certain look across my entire feed. And what a look means to me is the basic elements of it. So there's this first basic tab here is where my exposure is, where my blacks are, the contrast and the clarity and the saturation. These, and the most important one, for getting a consistent look, is this tone curve here. If you don't know what a tone curve is or how it works, drop a comment below or drop it on Instagram for me to have a look. I will then go through and do a video on that. But same deal. If I'm going to assume you know what a tone curve is and how to use it. Now, I've got my own tone curve set up, so it's, my preset is called Tone Curve and Split Tone. Start here. That is kind of what I do. So I like the faded black looks. I like bringing my blacks quite high up. I like giving it a bit of contrast. I like split toning. I like that cinematic blue in the shadows, orange in the highlights. So that is what I do, but on this occasion it's very subtle. It's more blue than orange. The highlights are very subtly done. So that is that one, but I don't know if that was what I did on my original image. No, I think my original one is a bit more orange because I have another preset. I use this other one which I call Aqua Sky. I love the Aqua Sky ones. Now that to me is just a little bit too bright, a bit too bold, a bit too orange. I'm not into hugely bright colours. I'm not into high contrast really, unless it's black and white. So I think I prefer that the other one there. So this is the preset, but if you don't have the preset, this is what I would do and go through. So first of all, I would set my white balance, which is pretty much as is. But I tend to like things a little bit cooler. So I'm just going to cool that down a little bit. And I also like a little bit of green in it, just to get a bit more of that aqua colour in the sky. So you look... move the tint, so there's tint 0, so the sky is quite stereotypically blue, but I like to push a little bit of green into it to give it this more aqua cyanish colour. Exposure I'm pretty happy with. My black point, just make sure I'm not getting too much down there. Yeah, make sure I've got some blacks, don't touch that. Clarity, I tend to bump up the clarity. I don't go way up because I think it makes things look just dirty. I don't go way down because it makes it look like it was taken on a potato. So I just push it up a little bit, depending on the image. I'm not a huge fan of highly saturated images, so I tend to bring them down. I like it if sometimes you look at it and you think, well, is it black and white or not? But although the blue, I like more of the blue in there, so I'm going to push the vibrance, but I'm going to bring the saturation down. Okay. Now the tone curve, which is where I said it was very important to get this. First thing I do, put the 3 points on. Okay, that's anchored those. I then bring my black point. I bring it up, not that far. Up, and then I pull that one back onto the line. I bring some of these mid-tones down a bit more. Leave that where it is. Push the highlights out a little bit more. Push the mids up a bit. In this particular occasion. Now, that is, it's probably a bit too much fade. There, right. So I bring my blacks up because I like this faded look to my images, which is what I'm now trying to get across all of them. So I've got my tone curve, as I say, I've got my tone curve set up in this preset. So what I would do these days is click on that, get my preset done, and then I can tweak it for that particular image because they won't all match the same one. Hue, saturation, luminance, these especially, this is what I've got built into my Aqua Sky one. I move the blues further down, so I in the hue of the hue, saturation, luminance, I bring the blue hues towards this cyan end. I also bring the reds up a little bit towards the orange end, and the oranges up a little bit. That is pretty much what I do to those. In terms of saturation, I like the blues and the greens, so I just bump them up and the aqua up a little bit, and I bump the orange as well. Okay, excuse me, suffering from a cold that's at the moment. So that is what I do with those. Now, I said I like split toning. If you don't know what split toning is, this is where you add a certain hue to the shadows and a certain hue to the highlights. Now you can do absolutely any that you want, but stereotypically the one that people would do would be they'd use colours that are opposite on the colour wheel. So you'd have your blues and your oranges, they're opposites. You could have your greens and your reds. Blue and orange, or orange and teal, is a very cinematic thing. So if you've seen pretty much every single Michael Bay film, Transformers, all those, that has got a very high saturation, orange face, blue sky kind of look. So what you could do is pick a blue for the shadows, pick a warm colour for the highlights, and that's a very, very strong split-tony, vintagey look. That's bordering on lomography stuff. I don't do them that harsh. I bring the saturation down a lot. You can adjust the balance between how warm and how much highlight to shadow you have. Does that make sense? Put this way up so I can see a bit more. So the balance is switching between favouring the blue in the shadows to favouring the orange in the highlights. So you move it along that line as to somewhere that you like, but I don't put them that high. And in this particular image, I've already done a lot of that. So turn that on and off. It's not. I don't think it needs it in this image. I've already treated a lot of the colour already with the HSL and the tone curve and using the white balance. So I wouldn't touch that in this particular thing. And that is pretty much it. I usually have lens corrections on, simply because this one I think was shot with the 16mm kit, 16 to 50 kit lens. It's got quite a lot of distortion, and this was shot at the 16mm end. So it's got a bit of a bubble to it. Turn it off, on, off, on. It's got a bit of a bubble to it, so I generally put that in. And it also has a horrendous vignette, but I've already cropped that out, so it doesn't matter. Effects. I like a little bit of grain. I don't want to go crazy, I don't want it to look like it's printed on toilet paper, but I like a little bit of grain. I like something, I call it character. Got a friend who calls it just making a good image look bad, but it's subjective. And I like vignette as well, when it calls for it. So that is what I add to the image. And that would be pretty much it. So I would go through all of my images, and I would give them this treatment. So you can see this top line in particular is when I've decided I'm going to kick off again with this new approach to Instagram. And I've got my presets, I've got my tone curve set right. And this smart collection, this Instagram feed, allows me to see all of my images that are going to come up and whether they fit in a lot. So if you look at this one down here, it's already been published, and it doesn't necessarily fit in with the rest of these because the contrast isn't right, the tone curve's not the same. This one's very bright, it's very natural, it's quite faded actually, not faded, desaturated. You know, it doesn't necessarily fit in with the way I want things to go, but they've already been published, so they're in the feed. So I'm just in a transition period at the moment, moving towards this new look that I'm going for here. So having the collection here all together allows me to see them, and allows me to say, that one doesn't quite fit in, or I need to change the contrast and stuff on that one, I need to adjust the tone curve on that one. I can see it before it goes out. So I am, what's the word? Curating, that's the one. That took far too long. I'm curating my feed. I'm saying which ones go in and which ones don't, which ones make the cut and which ones don't. So, that being said, I've now got my images for the week. So as I say, this top line, my images for the week. Now it's time to export them. If I am going to just add them each day manually, I've got a publish service set up down here called Lightroom Exports. So it puts those. What you can do is you can set up your own publish service to make everything automatic. And of course you can just click export on each one individually, but because I'm going in here, Lightroom Publishing Manager, you go down here, add a new publishing service. I want it to publish. This is Lightroom 3 by the way, so this is why you've probably got lots more options in the newer versions. This is what I have, so this is what I'm using. Publish to hard drive. Name something that you're going to call it. So demo publish. And then what you can do is export to a specific folder. I've got a temp folder set up on my desktop. I don't want this folder. So everything goes to this temp folder for me to organise and sort later. So that goes into there. I tend to rename. I'll just go through them one I actually have. That'll be a lot easier. So the one that I've got is Lightroom Export JPEG. It already goes to the temp folder. I rename them custom settings. So it uses the date and the original file name. Format settings, quality to the top, pro photo, that's JPEG. I don't resize, I don't do anything, I don't sharpen on output. I do sharpen some of them in Lightroom. I don't sharpen it on export because I like to see it before it goes out. And that's that. So what I would then do, I've also got this other one, this Hootsuite, because I use Hootsuite to schedule some of my posts if I know I'm going to be very busy, because I like to publish at 7:30 in the morning. That seems to be a good time for me. So, but with getting family and everything ready, I can't always get round to it. So if I think that's going to be the case, I would export it for Hootsuite. Now, because I'm cheap and I don't pay for it, I use the free version, which limits me to 5 megabytes per file. So that particular one, my exports are limited to 4.5 meg on export, so that I can schedule them in Hootsuite. But generally, I go to the Lightroom export. So what I would do, in my Instagram feed, I select this entire one that I've got here, drag them down to Lightroom exports. What it would do, yeah, it's because they're already published. Okay, alright, fine. So this one is twigged that it's been edited, so it needs to be republished. But if I've not published them already, I would drag them into here and they would line up in here and show them all. Then I would just click publish and it would go ahead and export them to my temp folder, which is here. Lightroom exports. The Hootsuite ones are, as I say, limited to 5 meg, so they're in there for me to schedule them later. I'm not going to go into how I schedule them now. If you're interested in how to schedule your Instagram posts, because it's quite an involving process, let me know in the comments below. Hit me up on Instagram. I will gladly go through that if people are interested, but if people are not interested, I'm not going to waste our time. Okay guys, there you are. That is how I organise everything. That is how I bring everything in, getting everything in, organising it, exporting it and getting it ready to go onto my Instagram feed. In order to take it seriously, I've set myself the target of publishing once every day at the moment. So every single day something has to go out onto Instagram. With the other things that I'm doing in life, that occasionally means that I have to schedule the posts in advance. So I'm not there doing it, but I want to make sure there's something going out regularly to people that are following me. If you're not one of those yet, check me out on Instagram. It'd be really, really great to hear from you. I want to make stuff go out there regularly, so that is why I do the scheduling. Thanks for watching. I hope this was interesting to you and I hope it was helpful. If you want any other information about it, drop it in the comments below. Happy to answer any questions. If you're not subscribed already, hit the subscribe button because I'm going to be doing more of these, and as I said earlier, I will be going through the workflow where I use my phone to do from the camera if I've got to get something out there pretty quick. So subscribe for that. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a great day. I'm Jack. This is Jack's Content. See you in the next one. Ta-ra.
Oh, I love